I spoke there about President Gbagbo of Cote d'Ivoire, who's on trial, who's under arrest at The Hague, and is supposed to go on trial next month in November. And I was saying that, you know, the President Chisano, I don't know, people know here that there is something called the Africa Forum, which is former heads of state and so on the continent, and other people leading Africans, former secretaries of the UN, OAU, African Union, etc. Africa Forum. The chair is President Chisano, who's coming next month to do the Steve Biko lecture. He's written a letter on behalf of the forum to the prosecutor at the International Criminal Court, and says in the letter, we as Africans believe that President Gbagbo is critically important for the future of Cote d'Ivoire, for peace and reconciliation in Cote d'Ivoire. And that if that matter is not addressed, of peace and reconciliation in Cote d'Ivoire, then Cote d'Ivoire is bound to have a civil war resume. So here we have a choice. You know what's happened there with the Gbagbo case at they've got what is called a pre-trial court. Now that's the prosecutor presents charges against whoever at the pre-trial court. The pre-trial court looks at the charges and assesses whether this case should go to trial. So the prosecutor presented her evidence to the pre-trial court. This was, I think, 2013, if I remember well. It's 3 judges sitting together. And 2 of the judges say, Madam Prosecutor, you have no case against President Gbagbo. One of the judges says, no, she has a case. But 2 say no. Now, instead of, I don't know how many lawyers there are here, but instead of saying, which is what I think a judge should have done in those circumstances, therefore, President Gbagbo is found not guilty and released. No, they instead say, we give you 9 months to prepare better charges, so that, and in the meantime, we'll keep him detained, which they did. And then she comes back to the court earlier this year, pre-trial court. One of the judges, 2 of the judges say, you now got something which looks like a case. One of the judges says, you still don't have. But anyway, the majority say, no, let the matter go on trial. So that's why he will then appear on trial next month. But President Chisano is saying, but look, even the pre-trial court is very doubtful about the substance of this case. In the meantime, by keeping this man at The Hague, you are denying us, the Ivorians first of all, but the rest of the continent, the possibility to address this very important issue of peace and reconciliation in Cote d'Ivoire in order to avoid a civil war that's going to be very destructive. So anyway, there we are. I don't know whether the prosecutor has responded to President Chisano. But so the question arises, should Africa belong to the ICC? That's how the matter gets raised in London. Because this is our actual practical experience. I'm saying in the case of Kony, they were negotiating a resolution to this conflict that had taken so many lives, not only in Uganda, but also in that region. And we're going to find a solution. And then somebody said, no, off to The Hague. And the matter collapsed. And there's President Gbagbo at The Hague, And the threat that faces us in Cote d'Ivoire is a resumption of civil war, which is going to claim the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Should Africans continue to be in the ICC? The committee will have to see whether this is a matter on which it should act. It is important because this issue about justice and peace